we'd like to present another Distinguished Achievement Award. Again, the recipients of this award are recognized for their fostering of bluegrass music's image, recognition, and accessibility. Longtime broadcaster and radio DJ, and also a reporter of chart and charting bluegrass singles as well as albums, is Lee Michael Demsey. And to present the Distinguished Achievement Award to Lee Michael Demsey this afternoon is Dudley Connell.
Thank you. Lee Michael Demsey is a veteran of the D.C. area radio scene, including longtime work at public radio station WAMU. He started working at WAMU in 1975 in his senior year at American University, where he received a degree in broadcasting doing rock and roll programming. In 1982, when the station decided to expand its flourishing bluegrass programming, they turned to Lee, switched to hosting a weekday contemporary bluegrass show, which hosted 5 days a week from 1982 to 2018. Lee Michael Demsey is a mainstay of the bluegrass country radio, and he was honored with the IBMA Broadcaster of the Year Award in 1991. Over the last 39 years with WAMU and bluegrasscountry.org, Lee Michael has done over 11,000 radio shows. That's a heap. Though Lee honors founding fathers, he's always leaned toward playing the more contemporary acts, groups that have come along since the mid-1970s. He championed the show of the bands of that era and continues to play them to this day. Artists like the Nashville Bluegrass Band, Tony Trischka and Skyline, Seldom Seen, yay, thanks Lee, Newgrass Revival, Alison Krauss and Union Station, Hot Rise, the Gibson Brothers, Johnson Mountain Boys, yay, thanks again. In 1990, Lee Michael Demsey introduced the Bluegrass Unlimited magazine National Bluegrass Survey, listing of the top 30 current songs in bluegrass, and is about to begin his 32nd year of compiling this monthly chart. Not only does he put the chart together published in the magazine, the National Bluegrass Survey Top 30 Countdown Show can also be heard on the Lee Michael Demsey Show on Bluegrass Country Radio. Pete Kuykendall, the late founder and editor of Bluegrass Unlimited, and I were shooting the breeze one day and came up with the idea of the chart, and I ran with it, Lee Michael says. More than 50 radio hosts contribute to the survey, from terrestrial, satellite, and internet, did I say that right, Sally? Internet radio stations in the U.S., Canada, and also Australia. And although the processes have been modernized from phone or fax reporting to emails, the format and ranking process has remained the same. Every month, the stations report their top 10 songs, and Lee tabulates the results. I think the chart has always accurately reflected the diversity of bluegrass, with both the traditional and the new music, and having a good deal of success on the national survey. Lee Michael decided a few years ago that it was time to cut back some, and he gave up his daily show to concentrate on a 3-hour Saturday show, plus the long-running editor's picks and open mic shows. However, he has no plans of abandoning the National Bluegrass Survey. Thank you for that too, Lee. I think the readers of Bluegrass Unlimited and the radio listeners get a kick out of the following which bands and what songs are getting the most airplay and attention. The bands can also use the chart as a feather in their cap when it comes to promoting their own careers. I love being a conduit to the interplay between my work on the charts and my work on the radio. Lee Michael Demsey was born in San Bernardino, California in 1953 and moved to the Maryland suburbs of Washington, D.C. in 1960, where he still lives today along with his wife, Lori. In addition to his broadcasting work, Lee Michael has also spent several years working for the Smithsonian Folkways Recordings. I actually hired him. As well as working at the House of Musical Traditions, a music store catering to traditional music and instruments. The International Bluegrass Music Association is proud to present Lee Michael Demsey as a 2021 Distinguished Achievement Award recipient and to congratulate him on nearly 40 years in bluegrass radio broadcasting and over 30 years of curating the National Bluegrass Survey Top 30 chart. Thank you, Lee. There he is.
Thank you so much, Dudley. I've always had such respect for your traditions and the contemporary music with the seldom seen. Being able to do both of those is just an amazing task. What a humbling honor it is to receive this award. I've always had such a respect for IBMA, served on its board several times, and love the mission of the organization, so getting this award means the world to me. As Dudley mentioned, I came to Bluegrass a little bit late. I was a rock and roller, still am, but I started doing bluegrass shows at the age of 29. I was given the chance to host a midday weekday show 5 days a week back in 1982, and not knowing that much about bluegrass at the time, outside of soaking up some information from my radio god friends at WAMU, Katie Daly and Gary Henderson, my knowledge was rather limited at the beginning, but I dove into it and learned on the job, attending a bunch of concerts at the legendary Birchmere in Alexandria, Virginia, headed up by Gary Olsey, who was an owner and ran the club. Now more than 10,000, maybe 11,000 shows later, I'm still at it, heading towards the end of my radio career, I guess, and proud of what we've all accomplished at WAMU Radio and its successor, bluegrasscountry.org, 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week service. That legacy has been stoked by the fire and passion of Katie Daly, Gary Henderson, Jerry Gray, Red Shipley, Ray Davis, Dick Spotswood, Eddie Stubbs, Tomcat Reeder, many of them receiving IBMA awards for broadcasting or Distinguished Achievement Awards. Also Bill Foster, Lisa K. Howard, Les McIntyre, and Carol Petard back in the early days of bluegrass at WAMU. And more recently, Chris Teskey, Brad Kolodner, and Dick Cassidy. I appreciate all the help they've given me and guidance they've given me through the years. And the chart is, the Bluegrass chart started back in 1990, in May of 1990, thanks to Pete Kuykendall, who was a giant among bluegrass people. We miss him very much. So for the last 378 months, I've had the pleasure of doing the Bluegrass Unlimited chart. That's 31 and a half years. It's gone by rather quickly, and the charts have been very important to me, communicating with all the different hosts from all across the country. The charts were intended to be a gauge of the popularity of current songs based on their radio airplay. The chart would be a selling point for the magazine. People would subscribe partially because of the chart, but also giving DJs an idea of what other stations were playing, and it could be used as a promotional tool for the artists and their record labels. The first chart appeared in May of 1990. Now, 378 charts later, the Bluegrass Unlimited National Bluegrass Survey is still going strong. The number of radio hosts who contributed to the chart over the years numbers in the hundreds at this point, and I owe each of them a great debt of gratitude for being consistent in getting me the charts to be able to compile it. But I'd like to single out a few folks who especially were there from the beginning, and some of them, many of them are still there reporting to me 31 years later. Orrin Friesen, Wayne Rice, Bill Knowlton, Rick James, David Blakeney, Tom Banyai, Buddy Michaels, and Larry Nixon. I appreciate their help. And I also want to point out the names of a couple other folks who were important with the chart. Kyle Cantrell has been doing it for a good while, and the late Ray Hicks. It was very special. A shout out to some of my DC Bluegrass community friends who've had a major impact on me over the years. Some are still with us, some have passed on. Akira Otsuka, also Ronnie Freeland, and John Kaparakis, Kitsy Kuykendall, Ruth Goldberg, Gary Hutzel, Kathy Fink, and Marcy Markser. And I can't help but single out my longtime radio friend, Katie Daly, who's had such a big part in my bluegrass career and has always been there. I really appreciate Katie. Lastly, I want to thank my family, my mother, Rita Demsey, my loving wife, Lori Demsey, and my wonderful daughter, Rachel Demsey. So many people I'd like to mention as far as artists go that have been very friendly to me, and I've really loved their music, but I don't have time to mention them all, but I do want to mention the names of a couple of bluegrass heroes of mine, Ken Irwin and Sam Bush. Through my nearly 40 years in bluegrass radio, I've been proud to wave the flag for contemporary bluegrass, keeping it fresh. And I'm so grateful to the IBMA for giving me the career-spanning bookends of acknowledgments, being named Broadcaster of the Year 30 years ago, back in 1991, the second year the award was given, and now 30 years later, the Distinguished Achievement Award in my later years. I'll treasure this honor for all the remaining days of my life. I thank you.